was in 2008. The vehicle in front of me explodes and the whole entire world goes black.
If you want to fight against a country, you need an F-15. You need something a little more than a gun.
Something became extraordinarily clear in this valley. That is that a single man fighting for his land is an insurmountable force. Just one person making a choice to fight for what they love and what they stand for. That is a hard thing to defeat. I keep on my wall this rifle right here. I brought this rifle back from Afghanistan, and I had CENTCOM say that I was allowed to bring it back. I had USASOC, who I was working for. They said that I could bring it back. You see the CENTCOM JAG signature. And we have the paralegal from Special Operations Command. And this rifle came from the Urzgan Valley. There was, I later find out, a young man that was walking the ridgeline. It was dusk. We've been blown up. We've been in this tick. We've been in this troop in combat for a day and a half. And on the horizon, walking on this ridgeline, is clearly a military-aged man in the middle of an ambush carrying a rifle. He's 400 or 500 meters away, and I shoot him. This is in our direction of travel. When I get there, you know, this is hours later by the time we actually make it to where he was. This is the rifle that was in his hands. This is the rifle that he clearly was a low-level Taliban soldier that was probably being used for resupplies. Was he one of the foreign fighters that were there? There were lots, hundreds of them, that had been imported from a bunch of neighboring countries to include Iran. But this young man was carrying this rifle. They have defeated every single superpower that have come into their sovereign borders for, like, a recorded history. You go back to Genghis Khan, right? They beat the British, they beat the French, beat the Americans, they beat the Russians. When I say beat, I mean we spent how many trillions of dollars fighting in the Middle East, specifically in Afghanistan, to then evacuate in one of the most humiliating evacuations in American history. And it was one man with a rifle. I have this rifle on the wall to remind me, one, about the importance of the Second Amendment, to remind me how powerful it really is when an armed group of people standing for what they believe, how difficult they are to beat. It's on my wall because it reminds me we don't need F-15s, we don't need F-35s. You know, the First Amendment is so powerful, and it is really the most unique thing about us. To keep us free, you have to have three thoughts, you know. And free thoughts, you know, we as capitalists, we talk about free market. But in the United States, this free market is mostly of ideas. And if you start censoring, if you start silencing people because you don't like their ideas, even dangerous ones, we want those ideas to be verbalized, right? We want them to be written down so that the better idea will always rise to the top. The better idea will be the idea that ultimately we're like, yeah, that's the one. And the Second Amendment is for when that doesn't happen. The Second Amendment is for when we are being censored. It's when we are being silenced. It's when those ideas, there is no longer a free market for ideas. I love this country. I hate war. It is necessary sometimes, and this rifle reminds me of the cost of war. I had good friends that got hurt real bad there. And, you know, a child was beating the largest superpower on the planet with a weapon that's 120 years old. Freedom matters, sovereignty matters, history matters, and the Second Amendment matters.